So welcome back, everybody, to episode 5. I know we kind of went off the rails on the episode 4, and but I'm just gonna put it out there because I want people to see the process, and I thought it should be one way, going through chronological order. But in reality, I just got to go with the flow and trust myself and my higher self and my inner self just to put the things that need to be out there and just release. Because you got to remember, I've been talking about doing this for years, like we'd mentioned in the first few episodes, and I've been procrastinating, self-sabotage. Hey, that's that word again, but it's true. It's always made up an excuse like, oh, well, I know I have a little bit of a lisp when I say S words. And I'm self-conscious about that. I'm like, well, people just make fun of me. But you know what? I'm not doing it for those people that just want to go on and troll and make fun of me. But I just want it to be like fresh and clean and not so, perfect, I guess, because that's the way it's going to end up. And I think this will be more personable for people. So back on the self-sabotaging, it happens all the time throughout my life. And there's one thing I realized, like we're just going to skip ahead because this needs to get out now in this episode, is the first thing you need to do if you want to completely change yourself and do what you're not doing now. And I'm saying this because I'm saying this in the way of, right now you might be working as, quotations, a real job, you got a steady paycheck, you got your insurance, you got, security. And then you want to do something totally different, which is, hey, now you got to come up with your own insurance, your own security. You're going to completely do a 180 on yourself. And how long, right, have you been that way where you worked and you did your part? And as we say, we did the rat race, right? And don't get me wrong, right? There's a lot of people that need that security and do it. I was like, why am I doing things on my own? It's so much harder. Like, I should just quit everything and sell everything. And I can go drive truck for somebody, or I can go manage this company for somebody and I'll make 6 figures but no, the main reason why I started my company is because I want to help people and create jobs and opportunity for people that might not have these opportunities or these jobs and otherwise. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. And I believe me and my family deserve whatever we want. And I want to work towards that. We all want to achieve that. But the only thing holding you back is you. I know it sounds simple, like, hey, figured it out. Thanks for the answer, Mike. I'm going to turn me off. And no, you have to invent and make the new you. So I've been pre-programmed my whole life, and we mentioned it before, and I'll say it again. Every time I wanted something like, Dad, can we have this? I can't afford it, son. We don't have the money for it, son. I'm like, Dad, you work so hard and all the time when you're doing things. How come we don't have money? I'm number 7 out of 9 siblings. I used to be like, well, if we stopped at me, Daddy, and didn't have the other 2, maybe we'd have more money, right? And I remember lashing out at him, thinking it's his fault. And he'd always tell me, well, it's the way it works, son. You work hard, and the rich get richer and the poor stay the same. They get poorer. That's the way it works, my son. That's the way it's going to be. And, okay. But without realizing, and I even talked to my father about this many years later, like recently, and I even told him that. And he's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I don't think it works that way. And I'm like, it does work that way. I was pre-programmed to believe everything you believe, everything you tell me, because I look up to you, my parents, and my older siblings, and that's the way it was. And you got to break that. So here's the first book. Everybody get your paper and pen ready, because you're going to write this down. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay. No, I'm not being paid. It's not an advertisement, but that's the first book that my wife was reading. And I was like, hey, what's this? And she's like, you should check it out. So I listened to it. When I drive a lot all over, I just pop in the Audible and listen to her. And I'm just listening to it. And yeah, you got to get out of your way so you can move forward and make the new you and see the vision of what you want. And it's not new, right? This is not new information. I was taught this at a young age. I even heard of, when I was 18 years old, that book called The Secret that came out, and everybody's like, making collages and vision boards. And they were talking about like, hey, I made this vision board. And look, I even bought that house that's on that picture of that vision board. And they showed the house and everybody's like, oh, so all you have to do is make a vision board and believe. And then we'll achieve. And that's what I got out of it. Maybe other people got other things out of it. And I was listening to that at 18. I'm like, so all I have to do is make a vision board and believe, and then I'm going to have it. Well, fast forward 20 years. It's not a bad idea to have a vision board. It's not that simple, but it's going to help you to visualize what you want. Writing things down actually puts it out there into the world or into the universe, into our reality. And if you make a vision board, it really puts out there like, that's what I want. And not only when you have the vision board, you got to believe like, I'm going to achieve it. And then the key word is act like you already have it. Okay. So for a few years, my poor friends and family, you know, I'm walking around like I already made my millions. I'm like, hey guys, you know, taking everybody out for dinner. I got it. I'll pay for it. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my bank account going, oh, I'm going to cry. Hey, right there, how I made that joke, how I looked at my, like, oh no, I don't have the actual cash there, but hey, you know, it's going to come, it's going to provide. I'm just going to go with it. Right there is self-sabotage, because now I'm looking at it going, oh, I might not be able to afford this dinner for everybody. And now I'm not believing that I put it out there in the universe and I programmed myself to believe that I'm going to achieve all the goals I want. But right there, I'm kind of contradicting what I just put out there by going, oh, I might not have enough. So what happens when you contradict a positive and a negative? It washes itself out. And then you get nothing. You'll be going nowhere. How many people, okay, you don't have to raise your hand because I don't see you. But think about this. How many people have put out there all the stuff they want to do and they see success, but then they fall back down? It's like a big, never-ending circle. You have the, oh, wow, I'm really successful, I'm doing it. Then the self-sabotage kicks in. And then your body's like, hey, we've did this for the last 30 years or 20 years or 10 years. We liked playing our video games. We like doing this. Why are we doing this all of a sudden? And then you get into the, oh, well, maybe, yeah. And you get back into what's familiar. And what's familiar is not necessarily what you want. You want to be able to get to your new self, the new you. And you need motivation. So I used to make fun of things. And when people are like, hey, you know, you should come to these business seminars. And I'm like, oh, why? I'm more successful, right? I don't need to go to these seminars. I know what I'm doing, right? And the me. No. Going to those things will help you be more successful. If you want to be more successful, should you hang out with people less successful than you? No, you should go to those seminars. I know now I wish I went to all those opportunities and hanging out at those different seminars, learning from other people and taking what I feel will work for me. And when my higher self or my inner self is telling me, hey, take this note, boom, take it down and help grow your company. It's not demeaning. I used to think it was demeaning. Oh, well, if I must not be successful if I'm hanging out, you know, listening to other people. No, man. You have to build yourself a community of people that want the same thing. No, I'm not saying get rid of all your friends that don't want the same thing, right? But if you want to be successful and you want to grow your company, rub shoulders like I did when I first started. I started hanging out with a lot of business people, and I should have continued instead of thinking, oh, I can do it. I'm my own parent. No, hanging out with these communities works. And as you know, when you start reading the book of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself or listening, if you want to, you don't have to, but I'm telling you, it's a life changer. And that's how I came up with this name, Life Changers. But it's not no joke. It changed my life because I realized how I have to unprogram myself and reprogram the new me. And I have to sit there and think, well, what is the new me? Right? Who am I? You have to figure that out, because if you don't know who you are and where you want to end up, you're not going to go there. And they always tell you should have a 5-year plan. You should. You should write it out. Write it all out. Make a vision board with everything that you want. And you will see what you need to do. Things will change. You will think one way, and then as you start achieving your goals and getting to what you want to achieve and start bringing into your reality all the success and your business and everything, that, okay, it might not go exactly the way you set it up, but you got to pay attention because you have written out your 5-year plan. You start following your steps to get you motivated, get you going. You start hanging out with other successful business people, listening to them and going to those venues because it works. And then from there, you'll start seeing your progression. And then don't be like, oh, hey, no, that's not the exact way I wrote it down here. We should not do that. Go with the flow. How to get true success is not by controlling your company. It's by putting it out there and trusting it and go with the flow and change if it needs to be changed. In the next episode, I'm going to talk more about the change that I've learned through my company and how we pivoted from what I thought it's going to be to what it is now.